Design or Die podcast, meant to connect creatives together and help you navigate the struggles and the triumphs of what it means to be an entrepreneur so that you and your business can thrive. I'm your host, Colette. Let's get creative. Hey friends, welcome back. Happy Friday. I know I've been slacking on posting episodes, but that's because so much has been going on and changing, and I feel like this year has just flown by. We're already September, and I have so many more changes and decisions to make between now and the end of the year. I was chatting with my gal pals recently, and we were just kind of talking about all these changes and how September kind of starts almost like a new year for us. I know January is usually the time to make plans, make change, action, etc., but September feels different as we kind of gear and get ready for the fall season and the difference of our lifestyles from transitioning from summer into fall, and then the long winter periods. And for me, in my wedding stationery business, I have two kind of busy seasons. So the first one is around springtime because most people send out invitations for their fall weddings around then. And then I have a little bit of downtime, and then it peaks back up as people are getting closer to their wedding dates and then wanting day of items, stationery, and all of that. So that's kind of what's been going on in my life right now. But I'm really excited for this episode because there are so many parallels that have been happening surrounding this topic, not just for me, but in the creative world and community that I've seen. So I'm just going to jump right in. So the first thing I want to discuss today is basically the difference between copying and being inspired by other creatives. So there's this really big DIY creator on TikTok who recently shared kind of their frustrations behind this other creator that has kind of popped up and basically ripped off their designs and are almost marketing it as their own. And I felt really bad for this creator because the response was not what they expected. And upon reading thousands of comments on TikTok, which I'm not going to name names of who these creators are, you can easily kind of find it if you look up DIY projects on TikTok or Instagram. There's some big creators out there. But everyone was kind of really going in on this original creator, saying that this is gatekeeping and that, she has no leg to stand on because she's a DIY creator and inspires others to do DIY projects. So essentially, the creator that kind of copied this original creator, the problem with this is, yes, the original creator is a DIY creator and they want to inspire people to DIY their homes, projects, and all of that. They also have their own DIY line where they sell wallpapers and designs and things like that. And this other creator has used their wallpaper designs and shared that and has tagged them appropriately for that. The problem becomes this other creator is using almost identical, very unique designs that the original creator has done in homes for their clients and things like that, down to the colors, down to the materials, down to the idea in general. So that's where I feel like this is a little bit different than just, okay, this new creator is just getting inspired by your ideas. The problem becomes they are now taking that, created a platform, gained millions of followers using this other person's designs, and most people don't even know that someone else originally created it. And this is such a tough subject when it comes to art, and especially in the DIY world. It's very nuanced there. So my issue is that the second creator has used their platform to gain monetary value, clients, attention, money, off of basically ripping off the original creator's designs. The original DIY creator did create all this to share with the public, inspire you to create unique pieces in your homes and all of that, and that is fine. But the problem becomes this person is now taking that and then also trying to build almost the same business out of it, which, you know me, I want to encourage everyone to start their own business, but do it in a different way where you're coming up with your own ideas. Because if she was just copying these designs in her own home and that's it, I think that's totally fine because that's kind of what the original creator was inspiring people to do. But again, the problem becomes where now this second creator is making money and clients off of the original creator's designs. And although they have mentioned them before on certain posts, they have such a large following that most people did not even realize that these designs the second creator was using was not original. And I felt, again, really bad for the original creator who shared this information and asked, like, just please stop copying it directly, especially if you're making money off of it. That's where it feels icky to me. And I just felt really bad because it was all the second creator's followers that were kind of bashing the original creator so hard for sticking up for themselves. And the parallel that I have been seeing with this in the stationery world is that with Pinterest and social media and sharing all of your designs so publicly, they can easily be ripped off. You know, I've had this happen before where I create a unique design and maybe it's not the most unique design in the world. Maybe I get ideas from things I've seen in the past or similar styles, but I know when my work is being directly copied. And it just sucks because sometimes, well, surprisingly, the community usually tears you down if you say anything about it. And I just feel like if we don't uphold the standards of what's okay and what isn't in the creative world, then who will? Who's going to respect creativity and intellectual property if we ourselves are not respecting that of other creators in our fields? And, you know, I use the platforms that I use for networking and sharing ideas with other creatives in my field and things like that. And it felt really strange to me that they were less than supportive and were basically saying nobody has a unique idea, which is technically true when it comes to art, design, and all of that. But you know when something's being directly copied, you know what it feels like when that happens. And it sucks because, unfortunately, small creators, small businesses are the ones that have this happen to the most because people think that, you know, we don't have the money and resources to go after them about it. If you copied a big brand, of course, they have money, resources, time to send you a cease and desist or sue you. It just feels wrong that this is happening in the small business world and creatives, and feel like if you can't respect other creators and designers in your own community, then how do you expect the public, our clients, potential clients, to respect that as well? And I've made TikToks about this too, like, if you see a design online that you love, you can reach out to that creator directly and see if you can work with them one-on-one. I'm seeing so many times people find a design on Pinterest or online and then take it to their local printer, designer, what have you, artist, and have them recreate it. But the point is, you liked someone's work enough to want to get it done, then why not ask the original creator? Usually people are posting their work to get similar work in the future, do more designs like that, etc. So like, why not reach out to them? Maybe it's not in your budget, right? But you can use designs as an inspired by. But my problem becomes when it is directly copied and it's not unique. And I do see a lot of people who will maybe change like 2 to 3 things on it and be like, okay, this is original. But you know when it's like a little too close to home. And I feel like just use your best judgment when it comes to those situations. If someone asks you to copy something, I am like die hard in telling people I cannot copy another person's work. that risks me being sued. That risks my reputation. And if you came to me as a unique creative artist, designer, let me do my job. Let me do the creative work that you are paying for. It just feels silly to me that people go to artists and ask them to copy someone else's work, because the whole point is that you like their style, you like their originality, and that's why you're going to them in the first place. Again, inspiration, things like that, color schemes, layout, whatever. Like, if you want to use that as inspiration, that is totally fine. But don't expect creators, and don't be this person if you are a creator, to directly copy another person's work. You know what feels right and what doesn't. So just like go with your gut on that. I think some of us are afraid of like disappointing our clients and things like that, but stay true in your convictions. This is a big lesson I've had to learn in business this year, is staying true to my contracts, staying true to how I want to run my business, despite what everyone else in the community is doing, or despite what everyone else in my field is doing. If something doesn't feel right to me, I'm not going to do it. And if that means I'm not the person for you, that's fine. Because at the end of the day, it's your business and you get to decide how it runs, how it operates. And if someone is trying to get you to go against that, then maybe they're not the client for you either. You guys know I love to give you all the free tips and business advice so your business can survive and thrive. And to keep that going, I've created a Patreon account where you can become a supporter and get exclusive content, one-on-one business advice, and ask me all the things. So if you'd like to help keep this thing going, go to patreon.com/design or DIY. Thanks so much. So when it comes to your intellectual property, if you don't know, every artist, creator, designer has the right to their intellectual property. Even if you are getting paid for a service, this protects you so that whoever is hiring you can't take your designs and get it printed somewhere else, designed by someone else, aka copied by someone else, and makes it so you are the original creator, owner of that work, even if they are paying for it. Now, in certain circumstances, depending on what it is that you do and sell, you can sign off the rights to things where people can go ahead and get your designs printed anywhere by any printer, and that's an option too, but usually it's a way higher price point and cost for that. That's like the same thing as asking for a photographer for their original raw photos. That's why you signed a print release, that you can only get it printed at certain places, or you can't add filters to designs and things like that. It keeps the integrity of their work the level that it is. Because even though someone is paying you for a service, if they take your artwork, your photos, your designs, and get it printed very low quality, or they slap on a filter that looks horribly, when people see that you're tagged as the photographer, artist, designer, now people are going to expect that that is your level of work when it most likely is not. So that's why these things are in place, to protect our intellectual property in the first place. And I highly, highly recommend that you always put this in your contracts, no matter what kind of creative field you are in, because that is going to protect you from these things. And if anything ever happens in the future, you have that signed contract where they hopefully read through it, understood it, and you can do something about it if that situation were to occur. So while we're on the topic of staying strong in your convictions in your business, these are the things that have happened to me this year, where I've really had to either take a break, think about how I wanted to handle situations. For me, being an empathic person, it is very hard for me to separate what happens in my business from feeling like my worth is tied to that. And if you're someone that can relate, it is definitely a difficult task and something that takes practice and learning. So when someone attacks my business, it feels like a personal attack because I have worked so hard on it. At the end of the day, I am the face of the business. I am the one doing all the work, all the designs, everything. So the point of this is that you're always going to hit bumps in the road in your business. You're always going to have difficult clients. Like if you just know like how people are, we all have different personality types. We all have different ways that we handle situations. And especially me being in the wedding industry, you're always going to have people that are high stress, worried about, money and all those things. And that's valid because I went through that myself. So I understand and I sympathize with them. But at the end of the day, like I said, you get to choose how your business is run, how you're being spoken to, and you can deny anybody service if you feel like it's not a good fit, even if they have paid. I actually have this in my contract as well. At the bottom, it says that if I feel I am being threatened, harassed, etc., or I don't feel like it's a good fit, we can both, either party, me, clients, whatever, cancel at any point. But usually that incurs the design time spent, the planning time spent, any of that is included as well. And I just want to remind people, like, stick to what's in your contract. If they have a signed contract, that's what it is. That is written, sealed, and people can't fight you out of that. They will try sometimes because, again, we are small businesses and we don't always have the funds and the stress and the time and the resources to go after small issues. But again, I feel like the more we stay strong in our convictions in our business, the more people will respect it and understand it. And the same goes for anyone else in your business community for whatever field you are doing. The more we dismiss business owners' feelings and try to say, well, everybody copies, everybody does this, it feels to me like we're almost not respecting ourselves in our businesses. So how can we expect people that don't know, what it takes to run and the situations that come up to respect us as well? There feels like this big disconnect, and over the past year, I've seen so many small businesses close. I've seen so many creators share on social media how worn out, burnt out they are, and are either taking a long break or are just reassessing their business altogether or shutting it down. And that's sad to me. And I know a lot of that has to do with the economy and the way of the world. But I feel like we have an obligation to support other small business owners instead of copying their work to try to get the client and sacrificing our maybe moral standards in our businesses to make a sale, make a deal, make the client happy. At some point, we have to realize that we're kind of all in this together. And if one thrives, the other thrives. The more we support the small businesses and other creatives in our fields, the more we can all be successful and happier in our businesses. Because I'm telling you from experience, I've considered closing down my businesses like several times, even when it's going well, just for my mental health and well-being. And that's where it's fine to take a break, reassess, figure out what direction you want to go in. But I have also learned that I'm still in the growing stages too. Even though I've run a business for almost 8 years, my business and what I sell and offer and operate like has changed significantly over time. You kind of have to go through these growing pains in order to have it run more smoothly. And the more issues that come up, the more you'll be better equipped to handle them should they come up again in the future. So I know overall this episode's probably a little bit controversial when it comes to figuring out what in the creative and art world is inspiring versus copying, because that is such a hard thing to figure out, because at the end of the day, no one is 100% original. But I think there needs to be a level of maybe accountability within ourselves to know if something feels off, like don't do it, or maybe figure out a way that you can make your client happy, produce the similar design and work that they want and that you are capable of, but at the same point, staying true in how you operate and run your business to what makes you feel good about doing it. And to me, that feels like a boundary too. Like, if you can't respect the way I operate my business, or that I don't feel comfortable copying other people's work, whatever it may be, then maybe, again, I'm not the person for you. And that's okay. There's plenty of people to go around. But I truly just believe, like, the more we stay true in that, the more other business owners will feel compelled to stay true in their convictions. And it really just helps everybody else up. Because I do, again, feel really bad for the DIY creator that I was talking about that just got completely bashed and obliterated for sharing how they felt about this other creator kind of making money off the business that they worked so hard for. And I think they're valid in that. Whether or not we all agree with it or maybe understand it is kind of irrelevant, because unless you've been there, you don't really know what it feels like. And all we can do in our communities is support one another. So yeah, I don't know. Let me know your comments, questions, concerns, how you feel about this topic. It's a really hard one to unpack, but I think it's something that needs to be talked about, and maybe we can find a path forward that makes sense and everyone feels respected in their craft. So that's all I have for today. I am making my September a full force September. That's what I've written down in my journal. I'm going full speed ahead with my business, doing all the things that I can to prep for the maybe lull of the winter that usually comes back up in January when everyone gets engaged again and invitations are needed. And yeah, I'm kind of excited to see what the rest of this year holds. And I've also seen so many people that I know starting their own businesses in the past couple of weeks, and I'm really excited to see you guys' journey as well. And as always, if you have specific questions, email me at designordIY@gmail.com, and I can share them here on the podcast or share them online if other people are wondering the same thing. So thank you guys. Have a great weekend.